After paying off her student loans and letting her parents move in with us, I thought I'd earned her love. Instead, I walked in on her laughing on the phone, saying, "He's so easy to manipulate." When I confronted her, she looked me dead in the eye and said, "You were always just a means to an end." 2 weeks later, I sold everything she cared about. I'm a 37-year-old guy living in Erie, Pennsylvania. I'm not flashy. Never have been. I've lived my life working hard, saving money, staying quiet. I don't drink much, I don't party, and I don't cheat people. I work in IT for a mid-sized factory that makes packaging machines. It's a steady job. I don't make six figures, but I do okay. For most of my life, I've kept things simple. I rented a one-bedroom apartment, drove a 10-year-old Ford, and lived below my means. I made my own meals and packed lunch every day. While everyone else I knew went into debt, I saved. By the time I was 35, I had a little over $45,000 in the bank. My plan was to buy a house, maybe finally settle down. Then I met Tara. We met at a friend's birthday dinner. She was beautiful. Sharp jawline, confident voice, dressed better than anyone else there. She had this way of talking that made you feel like you were the only one in the room. I didn't think I had a shot, but we started talking and hit it off. She laughed at my dry jokes, and I thought maybe, just maybe, someone like her could love someone like me. After a few weeks of dating, she stayed over more and more. Within 3 months, she basically lived at my place. I thought I hit the jackpot. She worked at a high-end bridal boutique downtown. She always had stories about the spoiled women who came in demanding custom fittings and crying over lace details. I'd listen, nod, and tell her she deserved better. She'd smile and say I was the only man who ever truly got her. Looking back, I see all the red flags. She never offered to split rent. Not once. She called my clothes thrift store rags, and pushed me to buy expensive button-ups and colognes I couldn't even pronounce. She always wanted dinners at restaurants with valet parking. When the check came, she'd stare at her phone or excuse herself to the bathroom. But I told myself she had good taste. That she just needed time to see I was worth sticking with. Then came the tears. One night she sat on the couch crying, saying her student loans were choking her. She said she felt like a failure. She said she could never picture a future with that kind of weight on her shoulders. I held her, listened, and I felt something in me crack. I wanted to fix it for her. I wanted her to feel safe with me. A week later, I used $38,000 of my savings to pay off her loans. She cried again. This time from happiness. She said I was the only person who ever believed in her. That I made her feel like she mattered. That night, I thought I'd finally earned her love. I was wrong. 3 months later, she said her parents were struggling. Her dad's knees were shot from years of roofing, and her mom was starting to forget basic things. They were living in a rundown trailer outside Allentown, barely getting by on Social Security. She asked if they could move in, just for a while. I said yes. We moved into a small rental house with 2 bedrooms. I gave up my office so her dad could have a bed. I added safety handles to the bathroom for her mom. I bought groceries for 4 people instead of 1. When that got tight, I started freelancing on weekends fixing people's computers around town. Tara didn't work more. She worked less. She said her manager stressed her out. She started calling out more often, and when she was home, she spent all day scrolling social media or shopping online. Packages arrived almost daily. When I said something, she said, "It's just self-care. You don't understand what it's like to live under pressure all the time." I started noticing other things. She'd go out on girls' nights. That ended at 2 a.m. Her phone was always face down. She'd hide in the bathroom for an hour, just scrolling. But I could hear her giggling and whispering. When I asked about it, she'd roll her eyes and say I was acting insecure. Then it happened. One Thursday, the office had a busted pipe and sent us home early. I decided to surprise her with her favorite lemon tart from that little bakery on 9th Street. I pulled into the driveway and noticed there were no other cars. Her parents had gone to visit a cousin for the week. I walked in quietly, hoping to surprise her. But when I opened the front door, I heard her voice. She was in the bedroom, laughing. I stopped in the hallway, holding the pastry box. I wasn't trying to snoop. But what she said made me freeze. "No, I swear, he's so easy to manipulate," she said, laughing. "He thinks I love him. It's hilarious. I just smile and say what he wants to hear. He paid off my loans, let my parents move in, and he still thinks I'm his soulmate. It's honestly kind of sad." I stood there, just staring at the floor. I wanted to believe I misunderstood, that it was some kind of joke. Then she said the next thing. "You know what the funniest part is? He thinks he earned me." I walked into the room. She froze. Her smile dropped. She was sitting cross-legged on the bed, phone in hand. She didn't hang up right away. She just looked at me like I'd interrupted a meeting. Finally, she clicked. "And what the hell was that?" I asked. My voice didn't even shake. I was beyond that. She stood up, smooth as ever, adjusted her blouse, looked me dead in the eye, and said, "You were always just a means to an end. I needed a safe place. You were convenient. Don't act shocked. You had to know." Then she walked past me like nothing happened. I spent that night in my car, parked in the company lot, staring at the ceiling. I didn't cry. I didn't even get angry. I just started planning. The next morning, I went back to the house like nothing happened. I told her I just needed a night to cool off. She barely reacted. Said, "Good. I didn't need the drama." I nodded, smiled, and pretended everything was fine. But something inside me had snapped. I knew I was done being the fool. I started watching her more closely. I paid attention. She wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. She'd get dressed up on Thursday nights, always said she was going to yoga. Yoga didn't explain the heels and the full makeup. One night I followed her. She met a man at a fancy bar downtown, the kind with candlelight and valet service. I didn't go in. I just watched from the parking lot, my hands gripping the steering wheel. They kissed. She laughed, touched his chest. Just like she used to do with me. That was the last confirmation I needed. I started preparing quietly. I still had access to all the finances. Everything was in my name, because of her. Bad credit. The house lease, the utilities, the credit cards I opened for her. Just in case. Every Amazon package, every Sephora charge, under my name. And she was too lazy or too arrogant to check the details. So I started moving money. I funneled my paychecks into a separate account. I opened a secure storage unit under a friend's name. I started packing the important stuff, my birth certificate, my work laptop, even sentimental stuff like old photos and a few things my late grandma gave me. All gone from the house within a week. Then I made calls. Quiet ones. I called the landlord and told him we'd be ending the lease at the end of the month. I gave him the notice in writing and made sure the mail went to my P.O. box. I didn't tell Tara. I didn't need to. Her parents were still at their cousin's place when I made my move. One morning, I told Tara I was working late and wouldn't be home until after midnight. She barely looked up from her phone. Said, "Fine. Just don't wake me up when you get in." That night, I went home with a U-Haul. I cleared everything. The furniture I bought gone. The TV gone. The kitchenware mine. Even the fridge. I left it empty, except for a half-eaten box of kale she never touched anyway. I left behind one fold-out chair, one stained coffee mug, and a note. All it said was, "You were always just a guest here. Enjoyed the emptiness." Then I drove to Buffalo and stayed with my cousin for a few days. She called me the next morning, screaming. Threatening. Swearing. "You stole everything!" she yelled. No, I didn't. I took what was mine. and I had receipts for every last item. I didn't answer after that. I blocked her number. Blocked her parents too. Then I filed to have the utilities shut off on the last day of the lease. I found out from a mutual friend that her parents came back the following week to a house with no power, no furniture, no food, and a daughter pacing around like she was losing her mind. She tried to track me down through work. Showed up in the parking lot one day, yelling at the front desk. HR called me to give a heads up, but I was already on it. I'd given notice a week earlier and started working remote for a different company out of Cleveland. Better pay. No commute. She was too late. She tried calling the cops, saying I stole her things. The officer called me, polite but annoyed. I explained everything. Told him I had receipts. He said, "Sir, I only called because she made a report." "But it sounds like she's just upset you moved on." "Exactly. A week after she showed up at my old job, I got an email. It was from a lawyer. Not hers, mine. She was suing me in small claims court, saying I caused her emotional distress and stole shared property. It was laughable. We were never married. She never paid a single dollar toward anything. Not rent. Not groceries. Not a single bill. But I wasn't about to take any chances, so I hired a lawyer of my own. Someone recommended by my cousin's friend in Buffalo. He was a former divorce attorney. Bald, mid-50s, no-nonsense guy named Dale. After one meeting, he said, "She's got nothing. But let's make sure this bites her back." We filed a countersuit. I had everything documented: bank statements, receipts, photos. I even had text messages where she thanked me for buying things. More importantly, I printed out a transcript from a voice recorder app I'd installed on my home computer the night I heard her laughing on the phone. I'd caught it all. Dale read it and just smiled. "This isn't a lawsuit," he said. "This is leverage." I wasn't after money. I was after something deeper. Around that same time, a friend of mine who worked at a car dealership downtown called me. He said Tara came in trying to lease a brand new SUV. She listed my name as a co-signer. Without telling me. When they called to verify, he recognized my name and warned me. I told him, "Don't just decline it. Wait a few days and tell her it was denied because her co-signer had bad credit." She didn't know I'd locked my credit down and put alerts on everything. The idea that I was damaging her lifestyle probably drove her up a wall. That's when I decided to hit where it hurt most: her image. Tara had spent years crafting this persona online. She had over 30,000 followers on Instagram and TikTok. Always posting beauty tips, luxury hauls, relationship advice, and those cringe videos about how to spot a real man. Her DMs were full of thirsty guys. I never said a word about it while we were together, but I knew. I saw them. I even recognized a few names. One night, I made a burner account and posted screenshots. Nothing vulgar. Nothing cruel. Just honest. Photos of my empty house. Messages where she called me a loser with a savings account. A clip of her saying, "He thinks I love him." Followed by, "You were always just a means to an end." I didn't post it all at once. I dripped it out. One post a day. Quiet, steady destruction. At first, she denied it. Said I was a bitter ex. But the receipts were real. Screenshots matched her voice and her account. People turned on her fast. A few bigger influencers called her out directly. She lost a brand deal with a skincare company within 48 hours. She tried reaching out. New numbers. Fake accounts. Even a handwritten letter. I didn't respond. I wanted her to stew in silence. But the best twist came from her own family. Her dad called me from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer. But I did. He sounded tired. Angry. Said, "I didn't know what she was doing. I thought you were just another guy chasing her. But you were the only one who ever helped us. I want you to know, we're not siding with her anymore. Then he said something that stuck with me. She's not the victim she pretends to be. You just finally saw it. That hit different. Apparently, once they came back and found the house empty, her parents saw the truth. Tara had been lying to them, too, said I. Abandoned the family, and stole their stuff. But they knew better. They'd seen how hard I worked, how much I gave up. They just never said anything. Until now. After her dad called me, something in me felt finished. Not over it, not healed, but done giving her power. But Tara wasn't done. She started a smear campaign. She posted long, fake stories on social media saying I was abusive. Said I stalked her. Said I emptied our bank account and left her mom on the street. Claimed I manipulated her. Her followers, what was left of them, split in two. Some still believed her, but most had already seen the screenshots, the videos, the receipts. That's when I dropped the final hammer. My lawyer, Dale, helped me draft a full public response. Not a rant. Just a clean, professional timeline. No insults. No attacks. Just proof I paid her loans. Lease documents in my name. Receipts for everything she claimed I stole. The voice recording of her saying I was a means to an end. Texts where she bragged to her friend about using me to pay off her debt. We posted it to Reddit, with every file backed up and linked. It went viral overnight. Even local news in Erie picked it up. Man reveals girlfriend manipulated him into paying off debt, then mocked him. People ate it up. But I wasn't chasing fame. I just wanted the truth out. 2 weeks later, I got another call, from the bridal shop she worked at. Or used to work at. The manager said someone sent them a link to the Reddit post. Her face was all over it. Her voice too. They fired her the next day for behavior that harmed the brand's reputation. She tried to sue them too. Lost again. No lawyer would touch her case now. Then came the worst part for her, the IRS. Turns out she'd been making money from brand deals, sponsorships, even affiliate links, and not reporting any of it. I didn't even send that tip. Someone else must have. But once her name hit the internet, people started digging. The IRS doesn't care about sob stories or Instagram filters. They care about numbers. She got audited. And hit with back taxes and penalties she couldn't afford. She tried to do GoFundMe. Claimed she was being targeted by jealous men. Didn't even make it to $200 before they froze the page for fraud concerns. Her life crumbled fast. She moved back into her parents' trailer outside Allentown. Her dad stopped speaking to her after she tried to blame him for not warning her about me. Her mom, barely aware of anything, would sometimes call her by my name by mistake. She tried to bounce back. Started a new Instagram under a fake name. Got exposed again within days. People weren't forgetting. I kept my head down. I stayed at my cousin's for a few months, saved money, got therapy. I started talking more to people. Letting go of the guilt. Because yeah, I let her take advantage of me. I let it happen. I thought being kind meant being walked on. That's on me. But I learned. 1 year later, I bought a house in Jamestown, just across the New York border. Smaller place, quiet street, no roommates. I rebuilt. I grew my freelance work into a full-time business. I started hiking again. Met new people. I even started dating, not chasing, just letting it happen. And Tara? Last I heard, she was working retail at a strip mall in Harrisburg. Minimum wage, part-time. Her online life was gone. Her following gone. Her brand deals gone. Everything she built, on top of using people, collapsed the second the truth came out. Sometimes, I think about messaging her. Not to gloat. Just to say, thanks. You taught me what a backbone is. But I never hit send. She already got the message. Because sometimes, revenge isn't screaming. It's silence. It's living well while the people who used you watch their lies eat them from the inside out. And that's what happened to her. She built her world on lies. And I burned it down, with truth.